exciting news. Today is our last day of travel quarantine here in Hawaii. This is our second 14-day travel quarantine that we've gone through, which here in Hawaii means you stay in your home for 14 days, you don't go out anywhere, nobody comes in, which really isn't any different than what's happening in this state right now anyway.
Yeah.
But we did get some even more exciting news today, so
Yep,
that's what I'll
so
tell you about that.
breaking news today. We were outside celebrating our last day of travel quarantine by literally sitting in our yard on the side of the house, just sitting in the sun.
Quarantine beach.
Sitting in the sun. We set up our beach chairs. We had a little table. We're playing music, just trying to do the best that we can to celebrate the last day. So anyhow, I came into the house to grab a drink, and there happened to be a press conference that was unannounced on television, and the headline read, "Breaking news, travel quarantine lifting October 15th. So that's
exciting.
Huge, because for folks like us that travel back and forth to Vegas for work, we have to come back here and quarantine for 14 days, which sucks. You know, we live in Hawaii. We live about a mile from the beach. We're about a mile from a very popular hiking trail here. So it sucks that you just have to stay in your house and you can't really enjoy the real reason that you live in Hawaii, and it's for the outdoors, right? For all of the activities. But you guys are in for a treat. So I'm gonna get into it. I'm really excited. So if I'm speaking too fast, pause, rewind a little bit, and do a take two.
Or if he hits me with his notebook as he's talking.
So, beginning October 15th, you can do pre-travel testing before you come to Hawaii. So what does that mean? So that means that you can take a test on the mainland. Right now, the state is partnering with CVS and Kaiser. You can take a test, and as long as you have a negative result within 72 hours of your arrival into Hawaii, you don't have to quarantine.
But you need to make sure you have proof of that. You can't just say, oh, I tested negative,
Right.
or expect that that's going to be the system's hooked up. You need to have written proof of that right now.
So what you should do is get your test, have your negative test result on your phone, a piece of paper, whatever you get. But CVS is partnering with the state of Hawaii to where the state will be able to match you and your negative test result digitally with information that CVS will send the state of Hawaii. So once you get into the airport, they'll match the information, you're free to go. Now, sounds simple. It is, but there are a couple of points that you want to make a note of. One, everyone in your party has to be tested. So if you're coming with your family, all of your children need to be tested. Everyone in your party has to be tested.
And it could get a little expensive if you're a large family because there is a cost to the test.
Yes, the state of Hawaii will not pay for any of these tests. And the tests are expected to average anywhere from around $120 to $140. Now that's now, and we expect as tests become more readily available, the price will go down. But as of right now, they're estimating about $120 to $140 per test. So be prepared to incur a little bit of an extra cost when you're coming into Hawaii. But there's always a silver lining to things like this, right? With COVID and the travel industry in the state that it is right now, flights and hotels have never been cheaper in Hawaii.
That's true.
Never been cheaper. So the cost of the test is really not going to make that much of an impact if you were coming during a normal travel season.
And now you're not required to have a test. It's not mandatory to have a test to come into the state of Hawaii, but just know that if you do not have a negative test result coming into Hawaii, you are required to do the 14-day travel quarantine.
Yes, so the 14-day travel quarantine is still in place if you do not have a negative test result within 72 hours of your travel to the state of Hawaii. Now, another thing that you want to keep in mind, a lot of folks that come to visit, like to come in, land in Oahu because it's the main airport, and there aren't a lot of direct flights from the mainland to the neighbor islands. The inter-island travel quarantine is still in place. The governor did not make any mention about that. So what that is right now we live on Oahu, which is the most populated island in the state of Hawaii. If we go to Kauai, we have to quarantine for 14 days, regardless of whether or not we're in quarantine on Oahu. I know it's a little bit complicated, but right now that's still in place. Your best bet is subscribe. We're going to be giving updates as we get them. Do your research before you come. So.
And that was one thing that they did talk about today, is that the mayors for all the counties are actually working on that right now, and hopefully we'll have updates on the inter-island quarantine soon.
Yep. So also you want to do your research before you come to Hawaii, because right now we still have several restrictions that are in place, like restaurants. There's no dine-in service at restaurants. It's 100% takeout. Bars are closed. Most activities that you would do as a tourist are closed. But again, that's now. Today is September 14th. These changes are going to take effect October 15th.
So a month from now.
So as you're booking your trip, just do your research before you book that trip.
But it's exciting news for us. We hope that this really does happen. We've been waiting. It's been kind of pushed back. It was supposed to be August 1st, and then September 1st, and then October 1st. So we're glad that there's a date, and it actually sounds like it's going to happen, because we survived, our second travel quarantine. But no, I'm just kidding. It really wasn't that bad. I mean,
it wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
we work from home.
Yeah.
So we were able to get caught up on a lot of editing for video footage that we shot while we were in Vegas for our television show, as well as our YouTube channel. We also own a marketing company on the side. So we were really able to dig in and do some strategizing for fourth quarter and 2021 for our clients of our marketing company. So we were actually very productive.
It's kind of like you're forced to work because there's not like you can do anything else. But we did enjoy some fun times. We, have a nice yard that we can, go to Quarantine Beach and grill. And of course, Sebastian, who likes to pretend he's a chef in a cooking show, made some wonderful meals.
I'm not pretending.
Him and Carlos caught up on some naps.
Much needed nap time.
Apparently they didn't sleep while we were in Vegas, so they had to recoup while we were back here in quarantine. But it wasn't terrible. It went by pretty quickly. But we definitely are happy for this news because we'd prefer not to be in a travel quarantine. Tomorrow, when we're out of travel quarantine,
we're going to the grocery store. We need eggs.
And that's the exciting outing that we get to do in Hawaii right now, because that's pretty much like Target, Walmart, the grocery stores. That's basically what's open. Hikes and parks and beaches are open, but it's for solo activities, so it's not like we're gonna go do that by ourselves. We can't have friends over. There's no intermingling of households. Bars are closed. Restaurants are closed for dine-in.
So keep in mind, though, that's now, September 14th, 2020. So a couple of takeaways for this particular video that you want to be aware of. One, on October 14th, you can travel to Hawaii and enjoy everything that the state has to offer as long as you have a negative test result within 72 hours of your arrival. Two, you have to pay for it. I would recommend checking with your insurance company. I know Kaiser Permanente is currently looking at whether or not they will cover the cost for the pre-travel test. Don't know if that's going to happen because, of course, this would be an elective test, right? Not something that's mandatory you have to get. So I don't know if they're going to cover it, but check with your insurance company. You might be able to get a break. Three, everyone in your party has to have that negative result. The entire family that you're coming with, regardless of whether you're living in the same household or not. You all have to get tested. Four, the state of Hawaii is not going to pay for your test. This is 100% out of pocket, again, unless your insurance company is going to cover the cost. So check with them. What could they say? No, right? Five, when you get to Hawaii, they still are going to be doing temperature checks. And if you have a positive result when you get here. If you get a positive result when you get here, you're going to be in a 14-day quarantine, or you have to go home. Those will be your options, because if you get a test on the mainland, you travel here but you don't have your negative test result yet, and you get it when you're here, it's positive, you will have to quarantine, or you can go home. It's really up to you there.
And if you're a returning resident and you don't come back with a test, it's the 14-day travel quarantine, which, like we said, you know, it's right now it's not too different, but hopefully that's going to be changing as more things open up, and there's more to do here. We survived it. This is kind of what our quarantine looked like. Enjoy. We are getting ready to sneak out. It's good. It's good.
Sneaking out of our house.
We're not supposed to break out of travel quarantine.
Breaking quarantine.
The gate.
Hold on.
Let me check. Is it clear?
It's clear.
Is it clear?
It's clear.
Just kidding, we're gonna get the mail. You think we'd really put breaking travel quarantine on YouTube? You know better. What's up? What's up? What'd you do?
Blog about COVID, safety and all of that stuff. So yeah, so anyway, that's it. I don't mean to bore you too much, but
And it's healthy, Bonza. So did you shower today?
Of course I did.
Did you shower today? Well, we can see Diamond Head, and if we weren't in travel quarantine, we would actually be able to hike it. Not together, but solo hikes. Actually, I don't even know if Diamond Head's open. Actually, I know I wouldn't be hiking. I'm lying.